Hello everyone and welcome back to the Silicon Nubian YouTube channel. Today we're having a review of AntiX Linux. AntiX, while not on the lips of most people who run or know about Linux or even exploring the world of Linux today, should be. AntiX Linux is based on Mepis. Mepis being one of the granddaddies of live Linux DVDs that came out quite a number of years ago and have revolutionized the Linux world, in my opinion, with people being able to kick the tires, try before you buy, as it were. Mepis was and still is a derivative of Debian Linux, which I believe is now using Debian Stable as a base. AntiX is a derivative of Mepis. Today we have a very special version of AntiX. We have a version called AntiX MX-14 Symbiosis. Quite a mouthful, isn't it? AntiX's main claim to fame is the ability to run on older hardware, older, less capable hardware. You have that old Core 2 Duo machine sitting around, 8 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, sitting there with 1 gig of RAM, and you're wondering what to use it for. It's been in the closet. Well, you know what? Take it out of the closet. Make it a nice machine for basic computing. Maybe you got kids. Maybe you have a wife who doesn't have, or a husband who may not be a gamer or just wants to check their email and basic things. No gaming, video editing, stuff like that. That's maybe not the case that they want to deal with. AntiX is perfect for them. And AntiX is perfect for any old machine, and I know so many people with older computers that don't know what to do with it, in particular laptops. AntiX is the perfect solution. The MX-14 Symbiosis, this is a special edition. This is community-based edition, which the community came together, took basic AntiX and jazzed it up a bit. And this is what they've come up with. There's a number of repos that support it. It is based itself on Debian Stable, but there are community repos which are constantly being populated with backports so that the distribution will stay up to date with current software. So let's get going, shall we? This is the screen that you're presented with upon booting the live media. Also, this is the screen you're presented with after the post install, which I've done. I've installed it into a virtual machine, and this is untouched AntiX MX-14 Symbiosis. Oh boy, that's a mouthful. What we have is a very attractive, if Spartan, desktop. Right-clicking will bring up a menu with some interesting choices. Create another launcher, create URL link, interesting. Create a folder, document, run root Thunar here. Thunar is the stock file manager, and it's quite capable, if a little Spartan, but it is very capable. We also have changing ownership to root, ownership to user. This is interesting if you have certain files that you want to change ownership or folders. Share a folder on your network, arrange desktop icons. We have desktop settings, which brings up the wallpaper. You can play around with the menus. And by the way, I should add, and I should have mentioned this earlier, AntiX MX is based on XFCE. So what we have is a very lightweight but very featureful and capable desktop. And that's what they're all about. And we continue, changes for icons and whatnot. We have the clock up here. Well, that's readily apparent, isn't it? And as we move down, we'll notice we have a group of icons. Now, some people may not like the default position of this bar launcher, but we can change that later. Here's the default web browser, which is Iceweasel, very capable. Of course, you can install whatever you want afterwards, and Iceweasel works quite well. And very fast. We have Settings Manager. We're going to get to that in a minute. We have the Update Manager. Now this is telling me that 8 updates are available. This is interesting. AntiX does come with an Update Manager. and it's Synaptic. But there are more. It's more than one way to install packages on this system, and you would expect to see Synaptic Package Manager, being that it's Debian based. Tried and true, solid, if not so user friendly, but especially to new users. But it's very capable in the hands of someone who knows exactly what they want. But there is another alternative, which I'll show you soon, which is a little bit more newbie and user friendly. Below that, it's telling us we have a wired network connection. This is for the language selection. For the locale, it says US. I'm in Canada, but hey, it is what it is. We have the mixer icon, and we can open the mixer. It's very simple, at least for this, being that it's in a virtual machine. Of course, battery, power, and here we can switch between desktops. Workspace 1, Workspace 2. By default, there's 2 workspaces. We have the properties of the bar, but they're not that extensive. Of course, this is another thing about AntiX. You're not going to have all the bells and whistles of, let's say, an OpenSUSE, but you'll have 90%, 80 to 90% of them. And for the average user, even the more advanced user, this is more than enough to get work done. In fact, this is actually perfect in my opinion. Less fluff. Here we have an interesting icon. We're going to get to that last. So let's go to the settings manager. Fantastic. They've included graphical applications for doing some of the more common things, such as the appearance of the desktop and your experience in this Linux as a whole. Desktop settings, where again we saw that before. The file manager, notifications, the panel. This is when we can change the orientation of the panel. You see now it has a red lines around it. We can make it horizontal, and some people might like it better in this position. We'll keep it there for the rest of the review. Automatically hide panel, sizing the panel, whatnot, appearance, solid color. We can change the color to anything we want, you know, but we'll keep it as it is for now. Of course, what items appear on the panel here. Very easy, very, very easy to deal with. Preferred application, window manager tweaks, excuse me, focus, different things for the window manager. You can fine tune the way that it presents the desktop and whatnot. Workspaces, display, resolutions and whatnot, keyboard, mouse, removable devices, power manager, settings editor. This is very common in XFCE4 and allows you to really tailor a lot of things down to a fine, a very fine settings. And session and startup, MIME editor, accessibility, pretty much all that you would expect or a user would expect to be able to configure their system without having to delve into any command line business. Here we have something special. We have MX tools. Now this is what you would call, Windows users would call this a start menu, call this a program menu. And we have all the, we'll get into what's here. We have internet, we have clause mail. These are all lightweight tools. The tools are chosen based on how hard they are or their weight in terms of CPU or memory footprint. And it's a small but very, very capable selection. And they do include LibreOffice, which is a welcome thing. Here we have the full LibreOffice. PDF View, PDF Shuffler, a few other little tools there. Games. Well, I'm not much. I'm a gamer, but I don't play these little games, but they're there. Education, LibreOffice Math. They have accessories, file search, bulk rename. This is interesting. Make a live USB. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Backup, of course. Midnight Commander, which I love quite a bit. MX App Notifier. What we saw before. And all. Go back to favorites. We're going to run MX Tools. This is interesting. This is something that is great if you want to enhance your Linux MX-14 Symbiosis experience. Let's start here. We have a user manager. Of course, that's self-explanatory. Flash manager. This is interesting. You want to install Flash. You want to update. They'll tell you what your current configuration is Adobe Flash most recent version 11.202.460. Installed is 202.457. So there is an update. Pepper Flash is installed. This must be another open source attempt at Flash. You can update Flash, remove it, reinstall, install Pepper Flash for Chromium. Flash is so pervasive on the internet still, even though HTML5 is trying to push and whatnot, that it's great to have the support, and even better to have a very easy way of getting that support and keeping it current. And I applaud the developers for this. Package installer. This is interesting. MX Package Installer. This is a quick, user-friendly way to install packages. They're grouped in categories. For example, I want to install Chromium. That's the browser I like, for example. I go to Browsers, Chromium, latest Chromium browser and language pack. A little info, latest Chrome browser language pack, packages to be installed, Chromium, Chromium browser, and whatnot. I'll go here, and I'll click Install. There it goes. I'm getting Chromium. This is such a user-friendly way to get things done. I must add, though, that the amount of packages listed using the MX package installer are not that great compared to, let's say, the Ubuntus of the world or the Arch Linuxes of the world. But let's get this straight. AntiX is absolutely 100% functional and can be a daily driver for the vast majority of people using Linux. In fact, I kind of applaud the fact that they don't have as much software, but the software that they do have are representative of the best that are available, because it makes things simpler, and sometimes too much can be very confusing and overwhelming. Not to say that I don't like choice, but AntiX definitely errs on the side of, and I wouldn't say err, it's a positive thing. They give you not as much choice in terms of what's available in the repositories, but they give you a lot. Exit, and if we're going to look now, there we have. Chrome has been installed. Couldn't have been done easier. And there's a lot of other software, newsreaders, Office, even server software, local web server, but not much. Like I said, Apache, MySQL, server applications. I don't think it's a full AMP stack, but it's quite capable. Torrent stuff will have 3 different pieces of software instead of 20. Graphics, Blender, GIMP Basic. Installs GIMP only, probably none of its extra plugins and whatnot. Remember, it's about keeping this light and airy as opposed to heavy and plodding. You also have the choice of GIMP Full if you want, with the help of the plugins. That's another thing I've noticed. In a few software choices, they'll give you 2 versions of the same software up for availability. One will be basic to keep things very simple, and the other will be the more full-featured full install. I applaud the developers for this as well, and it shows me that they're very serious about keeping this light and airy as opposed to heavy and plodding. Email, we have Thunderbird as the only other alternative inside of this package manager, that is. Browsers, of course, we have Chrome installed. It's grayed out now, which means that it's already installed on the system, so you can't select it again. Well, you can, which is really weird. But that might be something. It'd probably be better if it just has a check mark next to it or whatnot. This might confuse some people, but didn't I just install it? Anyways, it's a very small cabinet and nothing to worry about. Audio, we have Audacious, Audacity. You see, what they've done is they've grouped together some of, in my opinion, some of the better choices. I would like to see maybe 1 or 2 other ones listed here, but it's okay. For what they have, it's absolutely functional. Miscellaneous, I always like looking in miscellaneous. Java, OpenJDK, nice. VirtualBox, very good. And Wine for running Windows applications. Pretty good. Printing, HP Printing Extras. Screencast. This is interesting. Um, Software to record your screen. For example, if you want to create YouTube videos and you want to demonstrate different software applications or even Linux installs and review Linux distributions like I'm doing right now. It gives you two of the more popular choices, Record My Desktop and Simple Screen Recorder, very capable. So that's part of it. This is another thing I have to concentrate on. Codex Downloader. This will allow you to download all those codecs to play all that media that we like so much. MP3s, XVID, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it covers. It says, do you assume legal responsibility for downloading these codecs? Restricted codecs that permit advanced video and audio functions. In some jurisdictions, their distribution may be limited. Well, I'm in Canada, so it's not limited. And here we go. It runs wget, very interesting. And it's going to download all these codecs. And I believe I just saw one of them to allow me to play DVDs and whatnot. W32 codecs, of course. Codec files have been downloaded and installed successfully. Just like that. We have the sound card set up. Only one sound card was found. That's if you have more than one. Let's say you want to switch between them or set them up in a certain way. Find network share, switch user, boot repair boot problems. Nice. Checked all. You make sure your GPG keys are up. Needed GPG keys are up to date and functional. In this section, interesting. I've gone through. Let's say I've installed this, or I'm running it. I'm running it, I should say. In a live environment, and I've installed a certain amount of software like I've just done. But the next time I boot into AntiX MX-14 Symbiosis live, I want all the functionality that I gained from all the software I've downloaded and installed. Well, oh my gosh, it's absolutely easy to do. You can save the system to an ISO as it stands now. The system with all the updates that I've done, for example, Chromium and the codecs that I've pulled down. I can create a live USB. It's telling me no key detected, and it will create a live USB key of this. So next time I boot that up from scratch, I will have the system as it's seen here with all the changes that I've made. That's incredible. So the easiest way to keep it up to date is just boot, run updates. If new software is out, maybe add a few applications, whatnot, recreate the live USB or the system ISO, or even a persistent remaster. Persistent remaster, what that is in a nutshell, and I'm going to try to explain this in layman's terms. When you run a live session of Linux, meaning it's not touching your computer, you're booting off of either a flash drive or a DVD/CD to check out the system, the next time you boot it back up, all the changes you've made in terms of downloading software or changing desktop backgrounds and whatnot, that's not saved. You're going back to the default state excuse me, that you were when you booted the first time. What Persistence Remaster does is, I believe you need a flash drive for this. It creates a bootable media of the system, but it works some magic on it so that all your savings during your session are saved to the same flash media. So every time you boot up, it's saved. It's almost as if the flash media also becomes storage space that you can use on the fly, and all your stuff is backed up. So if I were to change the background, if I was running AntiX right now as a bootable medium, live medium, and I would make a bunch of changes, but the live medium had persistence with it or on it, I would next time I boot, I would start back from all the changes that I had previously made. I would see everything changed. The desktop background, I'd see Chromium installed, and whatnot. This is a fantastic way to have Linux on you, ready to go whenever you're ready to go, and don't have to start from scratch. I applaud them for this, and they make it so simple. Set up live persistence, configure, save root persistence, remaster. Oh my god, these tools are absolutely fantastic. Create an ISO. We've done this. Create live via USB. So I applaud the developers for including this kind of functionality. All in all, the performance, it's in a virtual machine, so I can't really tell you how it would work on real hardware, but I can really extrapolate, and I can tell you that this would fly on even middling hardware. An old, like I said, Core 2 Duo E, let's say 5200 system you have hanging around, potentially even a P4 hanging around, and you want to install this, about a gig of RAM, decent hard drive, and you're good to go. Not really fantastic system specs by any means, but still very good. And the live nature of this means that it won't touch your system permanently. It's a fantastic thing. I really love this distribution. One of the great uses for distributions like this are to do, for example, you go to where I do, I go away sometimes to somewhere else on vacation, and I absolutely need to do some online banking or some kind of other critical stuff. And instead of using the computers that are there, because I'm not the one who's taking care of them, I don't know what condition they're in or how diligent the owners have been with respect to security, I can boot up one of these and get some work done. And it's an environment that I'm familiar with, and it's my environment. And that's one thing that I noticed people have done it, used it for. Another great thing is to create rescue live DVD/flash drives to recover data from systems that won't boot anymore, and a whole bunch of other things, partition hard drives, even run virus scans depending on the software that's installed here. So I would give this Mepis MX-14 Symbiosis a very good rating. Very good. Highly recommended. Check it out. It's not on the lips of everyone, but it should be. Thanks for watching my video, and comments and suggestions are always welcome. And I'll see you next time around. Take care.